Welcome back to the Full Court Trap Podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Daniel Fow, here again with my co-host, Blake Recruits Zone Smith. As you can tell, we're still a little bit shorthanded, missing Luke Tackett to vacation once again. Jack Sullivan, he's stuck in traffic. But yeah, we got a bunch of stuff to react to and predict, that being Purdue versus Marquette, and then a big slate of games this weekend, so let's hop right into it. Well, Blake, we had a big ranked matchup the other night, Purdue versus Marquette. I know a lot of people were expecting Purdue to win this one with a big win over Bama, and Marquette not looking as strong as they have been in previous seasons. However, Marquette, they put the work on them, without a doubt. What were your thoughts on that game?
That game started out really neck and neck at first, and then literally right before half, it just started crumbling right before our eyes. Purdue ended up finishing that game with 13 turnovers compared to Marquette's 6. I think that's where it really started downfalling. Trey Kaufman Wren, he put in really good work last night, had a 16.8 rebound performance, shot 70% from the field. And then on the Marquette side, Cam Jones looked like a college basketball star last night. He had a triple-double with 17 points, 10 assists, and 13 boards while shooting 58% from the field. I feel like that could potentially put him in a National Player of the Year watch if he continues performances such as this. And, yeah.
Yeah, man, I can definitely agree. I think the turnover margin for Purdue is kind of what lost in that game come the second half. Cam Jones, on the other hand, I mean, he's gonna be the reason this Marquette team does great things this season, and Marquette's gonna go as far as Cam Jones wants to take them. I think this performance proved he's way more than just a scorer, and he can do pretty much about anything to help the team win. I mean, a triple-double in college basketball is crazy enough. And I think without a doubt, he's, top 5, top 3 for National Player of the Year right now. Yeah, Marquette overall, they looked very solid, but I do think they have an unranked test coming up this weekend against Georgia. So with that being said, we got a couple slate predictions this weekend. Number 1, a ranked matchup. Number 13, Baylor versus number 22, St. John's. Blake, who do you think's winning that one?
So preseason, I had St. John's as my underdog team of the year. I still think they're a lot better than they're shown as, but I think I got to go with Baylor in this one. They kind of let me down. Baylor did earlier in the year against a really tough Zaga team. I think they'll pick me up here. VJ Edgecombe, Roach, Norchad O'Meara, Jaden Nunn, guys like that have shown to be very productive thus far this season. I think they're going to carry them to a win.
Yeah, it's not a bad take. Me personally, I think St. John's is going to come away with the upset. Guys for Baylor like Jeremy Roach, Norchad O'Meara, and Jaden Nunn, they've definitely been kind of a big three. And then, of course, you can't ignore their star freshman, VJ Edgecombe, who's still looking to have a breakout performance. He's had a couple, a few solid games so far to start the season, but this could be one where he really, starts to shine and kind of proves his worth as a top 5 pick in this upcoming draft. St. John's, led by R.J. Louise Jr., Simeon Wilcher, and Devion Smith. That's also a big three that I think is very underrated this season. I believe R.J. is averaging around 17 a game. And then Devion Smith, he's a guy that can score, assist, and rebound. Even at 6 feet tall, he can kind of do a little bit of everything. And then Simeon Wilcher, a guy who was kind of highly touted coming into the season last year as a freshman and, hoping to have a breakout sophomore year. But yeah, I think St. John's has got this one for sure. And with that being said, Tennessee versus Virginia. Tennessee is ranked 11th in the country, and they've got superstar transfer Chaz Lanier, and then all SEC point guards Akai Ziegler. Blake, how do you think that game's going to
go? So before the season even began, I thought Tennessee was going to be a little weak compared to what they have been in the past 2-3 seasons after losing Connect from this past season. And now he's balling with the Lakers. He's in 3rd place now in the Rookie of the Year race. And I think Chaz Lanier is a really good replacement. He's been balling. He's been performing above my expectations. I thought he was going to be a quality player, but I didn't think he was going to be scoring at such a high level as he is right now. And I think Tennessee is going to end up coming out with that game. But I do believe Virginia is a lot better than people initially anticipated. A lot of people were out on them because of Tony Bennett leaving, their recent struggles in the postseason, things like that. Them not wanting to change their culture as a basketball program, like as an offense, things like that. We could go on and on about it in a different episode. But I
No,
think
yeah, for
Tennessee will
sure.
come out with this win.
No, yeah, for sure. I can definitely agree. I think Chaz has been a great replacement for Tennessee so far, losing Dalton Connect, and, Connect has been lighting it up. I think he went for 37 points last night for the Lakers.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, man, I mean, Tennessee's got a decent squad this year. I'm not sure how good of a replacement Chaz Lanier is going to be compared to Dalton Connect. He's been great, but it's really hard to replace, scoring
Yeah.
talent like that. On the Virginia side of things, Isaac McNeely has been lighting it up for the Cavaliers. I think last game he dropped, what was it, 23 and only missed one shot. Just
Jeez.
absolute great performance from him, and he's one of the best shooters in the country for sure. My opinion, honestly, I think this is going to be a really close game. I believe the spread right now is Tennessee minus 10.5, and I'm going to fade that all day long. I think I wouldn't surprise me, whichever team comes out with the win. But Virginia, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and if both teams, D up like they can, and we know Virginia's always been a defensive team, and then Tennessee, they got Zakai Ziegler, who's one of the best defensive guards in the country. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I'm not sure. Maybe I would take Tennessee in a close win, but without a doubt, I think it's going to be a close game. And then on the flip side of things, we got number 19 Wisconsin versus UCF. UCF has already pulled off a ranked upset this year, as has Wisconsin. But Wisconsin had a close game in their most previous one against an unranked matchup. I This is going to be a good game in my opinion. Blake, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. I think this game is going to end up being one of the better ones of the week. UCF, they're undefeated currently. Best team they beat was A&M, who's an inconsistent scoring team, but is very good defensively. They've also just recently beat Tennessee Tech. I mean, they're nothing really special. They beat FAU, who's a little down compared to when they had John L. Davis, guys like that. They beat PFW by 7, and they're pretty weak. But then on the flip side, Wisconsin just struggled against a really bad Rio Grande Valley squad. They ended up blowing out Arizona, and then they also blew out Appalachian State recently, who, I mean, they're okay, but, I mean, they're not going to go to March Madness probably. But
No, yeah, for sure.
I think this game will be a really good battle between guards. John Tonje, who just went off with 40-some points against Arizona recently. I think him versus Jordan Ivy Curry for UCF will be a really good battle. And then UCF also has Darius Johnson, Keyshawn Hall, both guys who have had really good seasons. But I think this game will end up coming down to UCF with the win.
That's a good take. I think if it comes down to how the Duke game went, it's a free throw battle. I think Wisconsin's going to pull it out. But
Yeah.
UCF is definitely not a team to be ignored, and this could be a game that cements themselves as a top 25 team come next
Mm-hmm.
week's rankings. Like you said, the big three of Jordan Curry, Keyshawn Hall, and Darius Johnson, they've been lighting it up for the Golden Knights this year. And me, I think I'm going to have to take UCF in this one. I think it's going to be a close battle, like you said, but I think UCF has a little bit more star power to pull it off.
I think this one is going to be like one of those games where it's hard to exactly predict because I could honestly see this going both ways. I mean, it's two quality, not super high ranked teams. Obviously, UCF is unranked right now, but I mean, I think this could go down to the wire.
Yeah, for sure. I think right now UCF would make a lot of teams or a lot of people's power 36. And without a doubt, I think if they win this ball game, they'll be ranked come next week. It's just, yeah, man, like you said, this season, just like kind of the college football season, it's been a lot of, parity we've seen. Just teams can
Mm-hmm.
have good nights, teams can have bad nights. I mean, we saw that with Purdue, how they beat Bama and then got absolutely smoked by Marquette, which was really something nobody predicted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if it comes down to it, UCF may win this one in a close one. Now, for our big marquee matchup of the week, we got number 12 Duke versus number 17 Arizona. This game I know is going to be going to be on a lot of people's radar. I believe it's a Friday night, kind of a late one. But Blake, I mean, what do you think it's going to take for Arizona to pull this one off?
I mean, I think they got to not foul as much as they had against Wisconsin. That was a absolute nightmare to watch. I also think Caleb Love, he's a guy that he's almost like a Wade Taylor. He'll give you 20 some points a night on efficient shooting, and there's other nights where he just faults and like uh what's the word I'm looking for? Curls up and just like doesn't produce at a high level. I think Duke, I mean, them being ranked 12 now is kind of asinine. I get they
I
lost to
agree.
Kentucky, who was ranked pretty low at the time. But I mean, Kentucky is a top 10 team, should have been from the start. Duke is a top 5 team in college basketball right now, in my opinion. I don't think they should be that low. I don't think Arizona comes up with the win in this game in any scenario because I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a fan of Duke in any way, but that team is just too deep. Like it honestly might be way deeper than that Zion, Cam Reddish, R.J. Barrett team. Like they had the star power, but I don't think they had as much depth as this Duke team does.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can agree. And I also agree with your prediction. I think Duke is going to win this one pretty confidently. You know, I agree that they are not the 12th best team in the country. I think they should be ranked way higher. I mean,
Hmm.
just with Kentucky being ranked low to start the season, that was really just because the AP had no clue what to expect from them. And I think it's safe to say that Kentucky has meshed really well, getting a bunch of guys that had never played basketball together before. I think Kentucky and Duke are both top 10 teams. And Duke may still have the best offense in the nation. You know, I've been high on them from the start. And like you said, super deep roster. And I agree. I think they're deeper than the Zion year. Now, star
Hmm.
power wise, it may not be there all the way, but they definitely got a few guys. I mean, they got 3 lottery picks as of right now. And I just think if the whole team stays healthy, they're going to need Common Maluak to stay healthy. I think that's like we said. I think that's what's lost in the Kentucky game.
Yeah,
But if that whole team stays healthy and just plays ball like they have all season, I could easily see Duke winning by double digits. For Arizona, Caleb Love, he's going to have to wake up. He can't have another struggling performance like he did against Wisconsin. If he does that, then you can go ahead and mark this one up for Duke, probably in the first 5 minutes. But yeah, I think Duke's going to feel pretty confident going into this one, especially, getting another shot at a ranked matchup and wanting to kind of redeem themselves.
I think that center matchup's going to be really good too.
Yeah, that's going to be a
Between
really good one.
Mallock and Crevis, I think is how you say it. I mean, Crevis, he hasn't done like spectacular numbers, but he matches up fairly well with Mallock because Crevis is like 7'2", 260.
Yeah,
So
he
they
he's a
should
big
match
boy.
up pretty well.
Yeah,
And
one thing and I mean, not necessarily not wanting to see this for Duke's success, but just I guess Common Maluek as a prospect, I'd like to see him maybe try and extend his range a little bit on the offensive side. I mean, most points he's getting are, pick and roll dunks or just kind of being there for the lob. But I like to see, maybe get a little post scoring touch, learn a little post hook or even see a few jumpers from him. I think that would really kind of not only help Duke's success, but help his draft stock as well. Yeah, man. I mean, Duke's got everything you'd want in a team. I think their biggest weakness is just going to be, the coaching, really. I mean, like we said,
yeah,
I think giving Cooper Flag the ball with 2 minutes left, 17-year-old in an NBA arena, first big game of his college career, that was just, not the best choice for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Duke's going to win this one pretty confidently. I would have to say 84 to 72. I think it's going to be a big one for Duke. But with that being said, we got Marquette versus Georgia, I believe, on Saturday. Marquette ranked number 15, and if they win this game, they'll be moving up. They'll probably be a top 10 team without a doubt. But Georgia, on the other hand, it's an unranked team that I think has really gone under the radar so far this season. They've got guys like Asa Newell, who's been a super highly touted freshman for them so far, I believe averaging around 17 and 9 a game. And then Silas DeMary Jr., who's been solid for them as well. Blake, what do you think is going to take for Georgia to pull off this upset?
I think Ace has got to do Ace of things, like how
For
those
sure.
Montverde boys have been producing at high rates this year. I mean, Ace is averaging 16.8, 7.2, 1.2 assists a game, a steal, and 2 blocks.
And
While
it even
shooting
seems like
nearly
his three-point shot's getting more
60.
comfy.
He's struggling right now. He's almost 17% from 3.
Yeah.
I think him and Silas really got to pick it up, as well as Blue Kane in that
Yeah.
game from behind the arc. They're both, or all 3 of them are struggling from behind the arc. That LeFew and then Tyron Lawrence, both those guys have been productive from behind the arc. So I think the 3 balls got to go in their favor. I think they got to push the tempo a little more, and they got to protect the ball because Marquette, as we saw against Purdue, they're very good on the defensive end. I think they had, what was it, like 11 steals against Purdue and like 5 blocks. That's crazy numbers against a
Sure.
really well-coached team. I think Georgia makes this a game. I don't necessarily think they'll win it, but I mean there is a world where I could see them coming out with the win. But I do think Marquette pulls this off.
Oh, as far as Ace and Newell goes, I know you probably kept up with him a little bit more in high school than I have. Was he a big three-point shooter in high school? I mean, obviously he's never been a
No,
sharpshooter, but was he shooting a lot?
I mean not a lot. I mean I think he shot. I don't remember the exact percentage from behind the arc, but I mean he could stretch it a tiny bit. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a Dylan Mitchell situation.
I
Not
got you.
exactly. Like he can shoot it, but in game it's like it's not what you want. You want him
Yeah.
around the arc and the inside arc in the
Mm-hmm.
paint.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's good as far as him taking them, just
Hmm.
kind of helping extend his range and help his draft stock. Because as we know, the NBA, they love guys, bigs at least who can extend the floor and shoot outside
Hmm.
the arc. But yeah, as far as it goes for Georgia as a whole, three-point shots got to start falling. Blue Kane is a guy that had big expectations coming into the season, and he's only a sophomore, but he definitely could end up having a breakout season for them. And I think his next 2 years at Georgia, he's going to be a big part of that offense and defense. Yeah,
Hmm.
me personally, it's tough. I would like to think that Georgia has a shot, but just the way Marquette's been playing and the way Cam Jones has been playing, I think I would have to take them. As far as spreads goes, I don't believe nobody has dropped one yet, but I would probably still take Georgia against the spread. However, I don't think they're going to pull it off. I think Marquette's going to win this one. Now, for our new segment of the podcast, I've kind of hinted at it a little bit so far. It's going to be the Fade the Trap Pick'ems. As you all know, we have made predictions on this podcast that have gone absolutely not
Terrible.
expected. Terrible.
Terrible.
Absolutely
That might be an
terrible.
understatement.
So, with that being said, we've got our first Fade the Trap Pick'ems parlay for you guys. Now, me personally, and I'll just go ahead and let you all know now, I created this. So if you end up fading it and you hit, you can thank me. Blake had no part in this.
Yeah, I have no ownership in this.
But with my first pick, I'm going to take Virginia plus 11.5. That's one of the games that does have a spread for it. I think this one is going to be a close one. Like I said, I think Virginia definitely could pull off the upset if Isaac McNeely shoots like he has been so far. Tennessee, on the other hand, they could easily blow them out the water. It's just going to come down to how well Zakai Ziegler's playing and even Chaz Lanier. I think Chaz Lanier is going to do his thing regardless, but Zakai Ziegler is a big part of that offense. And if you pay attention to the stats, it kind of almost seems like the games that he's playing well, passing the ball, scoring a little bit, those are the games that Tennessee usually ends up winning pretty comfortably. And then the games he struggles in, that's when they have it a little bit more close. So yeah, I'm gonna take Virginia plus 11.5. Now for Georgia Marquette, this is a game that Vegas, like I said, hasn't dropped the spread, but I'm gonna take Georgia against the spread. I think whatever it may be, especially me considering I think it's going to be around the plus maybe 7.5, 8 range. I think that Georgia's going to keep it close, and although I don't think they're going to win the ball game, I can see them losing by around 4. For Duke, Arizona, Duke money line all day long. I think Duke's going to come in there and take over, without a doubt. For the UCF game, I got UCF money line. I think they're going to pull off the upset against Wisconsin. I think they got a squad this year, a lot better than usual. And, they had a lot of star, I guess, freshmen or at least star transfers come in with Dior Johnson and Mikey Williams. Mikey, if I'm correct, he hasn't even touched the floor yet this season.
I don't think he has.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but his teammate, I believe from high school and then at Memphis, J.J. Taylor, he's also been a guy we forgot to mention who's actually been doing, pretty solid for the Golden Knights. He's put up some consistent minutes for him. Dior Johnson really hasn't had too much on-court experience as well this year for UCF. But like we mentioned, that big three for UCF, I think they're going to be the reason that they pull off the upset against Wisconsin. And then for my last pick on the parlay, I got St. John's money line. I think Rick Pitino is going to coach these boys to a dub. The legend continues. And yeah, St. John's is going to pull it off. So
good old Ricky P.
You can fade me or you can tail me. It's your choice. I think this is a moneymaker, though. Like Shadur said, man. Perfect timing. Yeah, Blake, what are your thoughts? Are you going to fade or tail?
Oh, man. I might fade it.
Fade every pick?
Fading.
There we go. You either go with Blake or you go with me.
Go big.
Now, with that being said, we got our other big segment that we have really been excited to start. We mentioned it the other night. We actually did it the other night. It's going to be our second time doing it. It's our mid-major spotlight. Me and Blake both have two guys playing for mid-major squads that we think really need a little bit more light shine on them this season. Blake, I know your guy Anthony Roy down in Green Bay. Let's hear about him.
He's been putting up crazy numbers. He's averaging 27 points a game, 5 boards, 3 assists, and he's shooting 52% from the field. What? Like, in college, I get the season just started, but man, that is crazy. And he's also shooting, I think, 43% from 3 in 5 games. I guess not no Kobe Bryant numbers yet, but that's pretty dang good. He's shooting 36% from the free throw. What else? 1.4 steals a game. His turnovers are a little iffy. Like, they're not the prettiest. It's 3 turnovers a game, but he's been putting up good numbers. And not to mention, he put up really good numbers against Oklahoma State, who I believe they're a little weaker this year for a Big 12 team. But he had 27 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, and he shot 53% from 3. This kid can ball, and I think at this rate, he could end up being like one guy that you want to keep an eye on moving forward.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I believe, if I'm correct, he's 3rd in the entire NCAA in scoring right now, which that's crazy to do in college. I got to see what the other 2 guys above him were averaging. But yeah, I checked his stats, and this is a guy who's only averaging 10 points per game last year. So this is without a doubt a breakout season for him, upping the average 17 entire points, which is just crazy. Yeah, it's clear Green Bay is giving him the green light.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy is definitely going to be on mid-major watch for the rest of the season. And if you haven't watched his highlights, I highly recommend you go check him out. For me personally, you may have seen this guy on a couple people's radar so far. He's without a doubt been entertaining, and I think we all want to see him in March Madness this season. It's going to be Marcus Johnson in Bowling Green. This is a guy that a lot of people are comparing to DJ Burns at NC State last year. He's 6'7", about 260. This guy's an absolute unit, and he can ball, man. I like to call him the Big Easy because he just makes it look so dang easy. Averaging 20 points per game, 4 rebounds on 54% field goal shooting. This guy, man, I'm telling you, he's probably got the smoothest fadeaway in all of college basketball this season. They played Michigan State, and I believe he dropped 24 on them, and that's a team full of athletes. He didn't shoot that great, but 24 points is 24 points at the end of the day. He has been absolutely balling for him, and his game is so smooth. He's a street baller without a doubt. And then, yeah, if you haven't checked him out yet, I'd highly go recommend it. It's entertaining for sure, and we need to see Bowling Green in March Madness this year. Blake, I think you can vouch for that.
Yeah, he definitely is one of the better scorers off the dribble in like the entire nation, and that's crazy to say, but He moves very well for his size.
He does. He does. Hey, he's got great footwork, almost compared to like Derek Queen up in Maryland. I think those are,
Yeah.
two big guys that, although they aren't as athletic, footwork really does the work for him. I think that's one of their strong suits.
Hmm.
He's a guy that if the NBA ends up not being in his cards one day, I think he could be a great offensive guard for an NFL team. So yeah, without a doubt. And then one last guy me and Blake kind of both wanted to touch on is an inspiring story in college basketball this season that's been talked about, but I don't think it's been talked about enough. This kid named Hansel Emmanuel. This kid is an Austin. You may have heard of him before. He's an Austin Peay guard. He has one arm, and he's averaging 5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and he's shooting 67% from the field. And if I'm correct, he's only a sophomore or junior.
I think he's what is he now? Is he a junior? I'm trying to
Maybe. I know he
remember.
started his career at Northwestern.
I think he is a junior because he was in the 22 class. I just didn't. I forget.
He may
Yeah,
be
he
a
is a.
junior.
He is. He is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this kid, man, he's without a doubt inspiring people across the entire country, and it's truly amazing to see something like this. I mean, we've seen people like, for example, the walk-on for Florida a few years back. I forget his name, but he was a kid with only one arm, and he got in. I remember one play he got in there and made an and one. It was, it was a great sight to see. But this kid, man, he's special, and he's not just somebody who's kind of a feel-good story. He's somebody that can really make an impact for Austin Peay. And give him time next year, he may end up very well averaging 10 points per game or more. It's just, I mean, when it comes to college, putting the stats up that he is, and he's super athletic, but putting up the stats that he has, he's transitioning and just helping Austin Peay win games. And I believe as of right now, they're playing Morehead State and they're winning that one as well. But man, I tell you what, this is the feel-good story of the year for college basketball. And this kid is special, man. He's absolutely special.
I agree. I mean, he's averaging almost 2 steals a game. Like that's about as awesome as it gets in sports.
No, yeah, for sure. It's definitely something. I continue to watch Austin Peay basketball games this year, and I think the whole country's rooting for him. But
Most
yeah,
definitely.
man, that does it. Oh, actually, one more game I wanted to touch on. It's happening tonight at 9 o'clock, and at the time of us
Oh,
uploading this or recording this, the game hasn't started yet. But I'm sure by the time this gets uploaded, the game will be over, and that's going to be Alabama versus Illinois. This is also a big game tonight that me and Blake are immediately going to watch the second we turn off this recording. So, Blake,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that game?
I think this has potential to be a super fun game to watch. I think Alabama, them being at home tonight, I think they're gonna get a big bounce back win. I mean, it's super tough to play at Legacy Arena. It's always screaming loud in there. Like I don't know how players can hear in there half the time.
Yeah.
Like it's a big arena. I think Mark Sears is going to have a big bounce back performance. 5 of 15 from the field in the game against Purdue. I don't think that's characteristic of him. That's just one rough game in the road. Like it happens. I think he's going to have a big bounce back. And then I think he needs guys like LeBaron Philon to continue producing at high rates because that kid, he showed he can ball out against Purdue. I also think Whitesell, I believe is his name, if I'm thinking correctly. I think he's going to have to shoot very well from behind the arc tonight. And I also think Cliff Omoruyi is going to have to perform at his standards. The kid's a defensive menace, is one of the best defenders in the game of college basketball. And then on the flip side, Illinois, they're going to have to get Will Riley going tonight. I think that kid is a big factor in their potential push come March. He can score at a very his mid-range game and from behind the three is up to par. Kylan Boswell, he's sort of struggled this year, I think, from what
Yeah,
I
he hasn't
remember.
been too
Yeah, he's
hot.
shooting 25% from the field and like 27 minutes a game. I think he's got to pick it up. I'm a big believer in him. I've always liked his game. I think he needs to pick it up. Tomislav Ivasic. I think is how you
I
say
believe
it. It's
Tomislav
a mouth.
Ivičić, something like that.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
It is.
But he's putting up crazy numbers this year. I mean, he's struggling from behind the three, but he's averaging 17.3 points a game, 9 boards a game, 1 assist, and almost 2 steals a game. And this is only his, I think, technically it's his freshman year, I believe.
I thought
But
so as well. I think this is his first year playing college basketball, but
he's
according
like
to ESPN,
21.
he's a sophomore. So I'm
Yeah,
not really exactly sure on that. Maybe he only has 3, 4 years of eligibility.
yeah. And then I also think Gibbs Lawhorn. I think he's gonna have to give him some valuable minutes tonight. But I think Alabama ends up taking this game no matter what. I mean, it's still going to be a dogfight to the end, but it's just going to be tough to beat Bama at home, especially coming off that big loss to Purdue. I think Oates is going to have them come and fight tonight, and I think they're going to end up coming away with the win tonight.
Yeah, man, I think I'd have to agree. I think Bama's going to take this one, especially with home court advantage being in their favor. Also, just the fact that I think this is kind of a must-win for Alabama to keep their kind of highly toutedness going and just keep that decently high ranking they have right now. I mean, of course, if they want to stay a top 10 team, they're going to have to win this ball game. But I think Illinois definitely has a good shot to pull off the upset here. Illinois has got a super underrated group of freshmen this year, and I'm counting Tomislav Ivičić in that. I mean, this is a guy who, if he doesn't end up going to the draft, he's going to stay at Illinois and continue to produce for them. I mean, 17-9 in your first year, and he's a big boy as well. I know his brother's Vonamir at Arkansas, a little bit of a scrawnier guy who's more outside range. Tomislav, on the other hand, he's really big. I believe around 250 pounds, and he's a force to be reckoned with inside the paint, especially as a post scorer. And then you got guys like Will Riley, who may be a projected lottery pick this season, who went off for 31 in his first game. He's a pure scorer. And then a guy that a lot of people really haven't shined too much light on that I like, and I hope I'm saying this right, but Casper Jakusinis, that's a really tough name to pronounce.
Yeah, I'll just call him Jakku for now. Jakku or
Casper's
something like that.
Jakku. That's what we'll go with. This kid, man, he can do it all, and he's only a freshman as well. So from somewhere in Europe, I forget the country, but man, this guy's balling. I believe, if I'm correct, he's averaging 8 points per game, 4 rebounds, and around. Let me check again. Yeah, but
It's
no,
nine
I'm wrong.
nine
Yeah,
points a game, 6.3 boards, 7.7 assists,
assists.
and he's shooting 25% from three. I mean, he's not a 3-point shooter, obviously, but I mean, those other numbers are really eye popping.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's a big guy as well, 6'6", 200. So
Yeah.
yeah, the physicality is there. I think for him, and you don't necessarily need more scoring from Illinois right now. They got guys that can do it. But as far as, him being an NBA prospect goes, I think if he gets a little bit more comfortable with his shot and starts taking more and making more, he's going to be a guy that could easily be a lottery pick in this year's draft. But yeah, I think Illinois has got a super, super underrated group of freshmen. They may have one of the best freshman groups in the country as of right now. But overall, I think Bama's going to take this one, kind of like a revenge game, as we're speaking on Duke versus Arizona. I think Bama's going to take it, and I think Mark Sears and Grant Nelson are going to have a big part in tonight's win. I think one really underrated matchup is going to be the bigs, Tomislav versus Clifford Omarui. I think that's going to be a really good post matchup. But yeah, I think Alabama's going to take this one. Although don't be surprised if Illinois keeps it close and maybe even pulls off the upset.
Mhm.
Yeah. But with that being said, that does it for episode 5. We appreciate everybody tuning in. And just a quick reminder, we do have Josh Hubbard coming on the podcast here in about 2 weeks. I know all of us here are excited, super excited for that. And again, big thank you to Josh for wanting to come on. And yeah, as I've stated, we're live on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. And yeah, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Until next time.
Appreciate you guys.